moments of being in the world. But I've also come to realize that God can only use us in the world if in fact we are in the world. The tension that may arise there requires godly wisdom and the Holy Spirit's leading. Stay close to God and let His wisdom and leading guide you.
New York Times best-selling author Tony Dungy, author of the popular Uncommon book series. More at CoachDungy.com. That's CoachDungy.com.
Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagles.
It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Do you know who I am?
Live and local inside the J. Michael Studio.
People know me.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hot tub indeed. I thought I moved to Florida. Hello. It's cold tub today. Mist and rain, cold. Real glad I don't coach outdoors anymore. I'll tell you that. As Glenn says, it's soccer season.
That's correct. That's correct.
It's soccer season for sure. You are listening to the Coach James Hale Show. Coach Hale is snowed in up in the mountains. Actually, boy, they got a ton of snow dumped. There were like 7 inches in North Alabama. My friends in Nashville were saying it was close to 10 up there. I mean, it was
it's coming here.
Quite a winter storm there.
It's been a while, but I want
it would be nice. It would be nice if we got a little dusting
this morning,
you know?
But I think it was just be crying because it was so cold.
Snow and ice in Mobile already.
Wow.
Ooh, really?
That's close.
Oh,
well, I always wonder here when I see it, it might be ash from a wildfire or something out there.
Stay off the roads, and if it starts, man, there are people going crazy.
Well, Coach Hale will be gone all week. Brian Haddad sitting in for him, and we have a full table today. Coach Jim Burant. Coach, how we doing?
I'm doing all right.
Coach Glenn Manley.
Wonderful.
I've demoted you from doctor to coach today.
Well, I was going to give my weather report partly, but that covers everything. I tell you what, coming across the bridge today, it was blowing.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, no doubt. It's still windy out there. And Jason Kovaleski joining us as well. How we doing, Jason?
Good. How y'all doing today?
Good deal. We got us a great lineup today. Of course, we're going to, as we do every Tuesday, we're going to have Andy Burcham join us, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, going to talk about all the goings-on the plains. I'm sure they got some weather in there. I got out just in time. But also at 7:30 today, we're going to have Emily Bennett, who is a certified sports nutritionist, works with Jason out at MaxFit, and she's going to talk to us all about proper sports nutrition, maybe having us look a little bit better here before beach season comes around.
Yeah.
And
so the one thing about our meal plans, they're not just for athletes. I mean, a mom and pop, you want to lose 10 pounds, I mean, they're for everybody, and they're broken down scientifically. She's got a wealth of knowledge. We'll talk to her. I don't want to give everything away about her, but she's just a phenomenal athlete. She's driven. She's smart. So if I wanted my son or daughter to be handled by somebody in lead as far as nutrition and sports, she'd be the girls, because she's won state titles here at Arnold. So, but we'll talk a little bit about that about 7:30 when she gets on.
We'll have an FSU update to talk about all the Alabama players coming in. We'll have an Alabama update to talk about all the players going to FSU. I mean, it's going to be a full day. Big John's back there winding up like he's ready for a heavyweight fight.
You bet.
That's right.
We are. Mississippi State at Kentucky tomorrow night. Kentucky got to stop the bleeding a little bit.
Oh, man. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Great analysis.
Thank you very much.
That's the way Kentucky basketball has been the last 5 years.
That's right. Well, let's get into just a little bit of local stuff going on here. Not a ton of scores from last night, and then the weather holds today. May not have a whole lot of stuff tonight. Well, I guess basketball will be fine, but
soccer will be good.
Well, they play soccer in anything, but so I guess we will
32 today. Soccer's fine.
Wait, before we get started, I got to know where Jim's hat is.
Yeah, I don't know. I look like Dr. Emmett Brown.
I didn't even realize. 2 years I've never seen him without his hat.
I didn't even realize till I got here and go like, where's my visor? I always have it.
We can totally threw me off.
Flux capacitor coming, Doc.
I like it.
Got gigawatts.
We're just like Marty Stewart. We're on the No Hats tour. There we go.
1 million gigawatts.
I actually saw a great, take us totally off topic here. I saw a great documentary on John DeLorean.
Oh, really?
Made me think about it. The DeLorean. It was kind of interesting. And someone actually bought that company and is still kind of making them. Yeah, it's interesting. I loved that car as a kid.
They over in Germany really cool. Or somewhere. Did
something, I don't know.
It was a crazy documentary.
It's actually a really neat documentary, and it goes everywhere. I mean, it's something else. But a little bit of local news here. There was a neat story, I think JHG had it, on Lucas Dunn.
Yeah.
Of course, local baseball player here. He was with the AA affiliate up in Michigan, I believe, with the Padres.
Yeah.
And the season exactly, and the season came to an end. And the day he was about to head back to Florida, he actually got a call where he had been promoted up to the AAA team in El Paso, the El Paso Chihuahuas, which is the best thing about minor league baseball. The names of some of these teams are unbelievable. So anyway, he went through and finished the season with them, kind of talked about the process of, it's still baseball, but it's a new city, it's a new town, new job, new teammates, it's and tougher competition. Right. So it was interesting, but it was a great story, a great read if you want to go see that. And Lucas will be reporting to spring training here on March the 1st in Arizona with the Padres. So good luck as he progresses, and hopefully we'll get to see him up in the show here soon, like we did with J.J. Bleday and Nick Nelson and some of the other local talent that's gone on in baseball.
A lot of good local talent baseball.
Absolutely. Speaking of some more local talent, let's get back over to the gridiron. Ezra Gray, Mosley alum and Alabama State alum, running back, was drafted number 3 overall in the new UFL, the new football league, which is a merger of the USFL and the XFL. Their super dispersal draft, they called it. Basically, the teams that were being brought in the merger stayed intact, and then they got to draft from the 4 teams from each league that did not come along.
Makes sense.
So they're just being split up amongst that. And Ezra was part of the Memphis Showboats last year in the USFL. They're not coming along, so he was drafted to the Houston Roughnecks, which was cool. So really, really neat story there. Guy getting to go on and continue to play professional football, obviously with a local bent. And then, Jim, you had a note on a couple of guys from the area, too.
I posted this a couple weeks ago when it was actually really happening. But South Dakota State Jackrabbits in, they call it FCS now, but it's really 1AA.
Right.
Same thing. Excuse me. They won their second consecutive national championship and have won 29 games in a row. If you know anything about that level of football, it's either going to be North Dakota State or South Dakota State or Montana State or somebody.
Right.
Somebody from up in the cold country.
Yeah.
Well, how does that have anything to do with us? Well, there's 2 players from Chipley, Florida that played on South Dakota State. Now, one of them, I have a little bit of a connection because I coached at Shipley in 2012, and the offensive line coach, his name was Blake Wilson, who went on to be the head coach there too. But his son, Zach Wilson, who was in middle school at the time, at Rolac Middle School at the time, I don't even remember what grade he was in, maybe even elementary school.
Yeah.
How old would he have been 12 years ago? But anyway, he's a defensive end, and there was another one named Brian Williams, who I didn't know, but he's also from Shipley. He transferred from Valdosta. He went to Valdosta first. But it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you know how kids are. What makes you travel that far to go somewhere? The uniforms are exact same color as Chipley, so maybe
how about that?
Maybe that's part of it. But if you've never seen those couple 3-4 teams play.
Yeah.
They play football.
They don't
play two-hand touch. They don't play spread it out and wing it because you can't because it's 30 below zero.
Like the NFL playoffs last night.
Like we're about to get into that.
They got some tough hombres on those teams.
It's interesting you mentioned the same uniforms. It made me remember that. So where I ended up graduating from high school, I switched in the middle of high school for reasons we won't get into here. That's off-air podcast. But so where I ended up graduating was a school called UMS, and we were the Bulldogs, and we were maroon and gray. I went to Mississippi State, MSU, we were the Bulldogs, and we were maroon and white. So I just didn't like change that much, apparently. So, but anyway, it was.
Here you go.
Let's make it about me there. Well, let's talk about the NFL playoffs a little bit here. Let's buck from the trend here because we got plenty of college football we'll get into as the day goes on. But I did want to talk about. So let's just kind of recap. We'll get this one out of the way first, Jimmy. The Texans put it on your Browns, 45-14.
Yeah.
Young team in Houston, a team that maybe doesn't know that they shouldn't be doing these things.
The thing about the Browns, if you're a Browns fan at all, I may be the only one in this building that is, they had like everybody it's important that their team get hurt on offense. Both tackles, the center, their quarterback, Nick Chubb. I mean, they had serious injuries.
2 quarterbacks.
And they overcame that, and they played really well. But it just kind of caught up to and see, they already played Houston once and beat them, but C.J. Stroud didn't play.
That's right.
So that was a big, because he just lit them up. They had no answers for him. So I don't know what the difference was, schematically, why they couldn't stop him, but it really wasn't that big of a surprise to me. It really was. I'll tell you, a surprise to me, we're seeing teams like the Cowboys, the Eagles, Steelers, not so much.
Right.
But the Cowboys and the Eagles, wow. I mean,
Cowboys the only home team to lose.
Yeah.
Out of the 6 games.
But the most shocking thing to me was just the lack of physicality from both teams. I mean, nobody wanted to tackle. You'd have, guys running 15, 20 yards down the field. Defensive backs were just kind of making business decisions, not being physical with the running backs.
Oh, for the Browns, oh my God, they were pitiful.
I was actually more impressed with the Browns than I was with the Eagles last night. I thought that was the most pathetic defensive performance I've ever seen in a playoff game in my life. Yeah. Like, there was guys out there just not wanting to tackle and just looked like they didn't even want to be there. And you're in the playoffs. You're 3 wins away.
They were in the Super Bowl last year.
Super Bowl, and you're one of the favorites coming into the season to win the Super Bowl. Now I see why you have that stretcher run. I thought maybe, drafting all these Georgia Bulldogs because the familiarity could have been a bad thing because they've had some issues, when they were at Georgia. Maybe they're not pushing each other. Maybe they're kind of getting comfortable there. But, there's something there that just looked off there on defense this year. It was bad last night.
Until it came up that it's in the playoffs, I could have actually maybe argued the case that, look, I've seen the frustration in defensive players all year. They're getting flagged for physical football, and you can tell it's driving them nuts. They're kind of like, what do I do?
Right.
I mean, if I back off, the guy's going to keep going. So I can see it, but you're right. It's playoffs.
Yeah.
You don't back off in the playoffs. I don't care if flags are coming.
Playoffs?
Right. Playoffs.
Right.
So anyway, well, let me ask you guys this. Y'all are Ohio State guys. How about the progression of C.J. Stroud through his first year?
To me, just as a fan, I'm not surprised at all.
No.
Okay.
The thing that is good for him is he got an organization that had a little bit of a plan. Compare that to Bryce Young going to the Panthers. Golly, I only watched him like once. I was like, they're unwatchable. I mean, he's a good player. He was running for his life.
Yeah.
If you watch CJ, he had 2 games where you could say that was maybe some of the best quarterback play in NCAA history. It was the Rose Bowl against Utah. I think he was 25 for 28, 565 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then the Georgia game, we actually got to see him as a dual threat quarterback. The kid could actually run. I mean, I know Ryan Day told him not to run because he's so important to the team, and we know now McCord as a freshman was not ready to play as a backup. Right. So we didn't get to see the full arsenal of CJ as a senior, but the kid was one of the best passers in NCAA history, most accurate, and you can see his anticipation is on a different level than any rookie I've ever seen. And he's not zipping the ball out there. He's hitting his back foot, bam, and it's out, and the receivers turn, and it's right in their hands every single time.
And, you talk about the Browns. I as a Browns fan and a C.J. Stroud fan, I knew in my mind, I'm going, this game's not going to be too big for him.
No.
They may lose.
That's good.
But it won't be because of anything that Stroud does, because just what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's been in the big moment,
It makes me wonder about what Michigan really knew about our signs playing him, because he was so good other than those 2 games in his career. And they're the only ones that could stop him. And I don't think they really stopped him, but they definitely had some advantages against him.
Glenn, did you get to watch any of the playoffs over the weekend?
I did. I tell you the thing that got me with the Bills when Allen did the fake slide and took off through.
Yeah.
That's going to get somebody hurt one day.
It is.
And the thing is, they need to make that a penalty because everybody stops because they don't want to hit the guy and get to 15 yards.
Right, and I think that, again, what we were talking about earlier, I think that's why the defensive players get just so...
You should be down if you try to fake slide. If not, they should be allowed to hit you like when you're sliding, because how you pull up, because there's about a split second by the time the guy hits the ground and you're already moving forward, and they're still calling it.
Yeah, that's right.
They're going to overprotect the quarterback.
They call it if you make a legal tackle, but you just so happen to fall on him with all your weight. I mean, it's what are you to do? You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, last night the guy kind of like had a hug on somebody and pulling them around. They call it unnecessary roughness. Right. And I'm going like, we just put flags on them, man. We don't. I mean,
don't say that. It's coming.
Crazy.
I'll show you. That's like I'll show you unnecessary roughness.
Right.
They're all going to be like the kid in the Christmas Story out there, and they just play touch. Well, let's talk about some of our wonderful sponsors today. Get out to J. Michael's Restaurant down there in Thomas Drive. Fortunately, just north of all of the issues down there with the tornadoes, J. Michael's is up and running and serving all of us the best seafood, the coldest beer you're going to find anywhere in Bay County. Get out there and see the fine folks at J. Michael's today. Dr. Chad Mitchell, he was in here with us yesterday. If you've got any kind of injury, anything like that, go see the person who's been serving the athletes of this area for nearly 25 years, and that is Dr. Chad Mitchell. And then, Big John, we got to talk about Adamson Fine Jewelry out there in Lynn Haven.
830 Ohio Avenue, their phone number. And if you've got that piece of jewelry that the wife loved so much and she wore it and broke it, they do the repairs in-house. Sometimes while you're standing right there, they'll fix it for you. 624-1681. David Adamson's Fine Jewelry, right there at 830 Ohio Avenue, 624-1681.
And make sure you take the wife with you there to buy her something, because then you can show it something nice. If you just come home with jewelry and you hand it to her, she'll go, "What'd you do?"
Women are picky about that stuff.
But anyway, all right, when we come back, I want to go into a little bit more on the NFL playoffs, and then we'll look ahead to what's coming up this week in the divisional round. You are listening to the Coach James Hale Show right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
First of all, there will be no dinner on the table. There will be no clothes ironed. You will handle that, and you need to shave that gruffiness off your face.
Oh, it's a man's world.
So,
Man's world, baby.
Tonight, you need to bring dinner, okay?
All right, I will.
Goodbye.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, some sun and a high of 42 with a blustery wind coming out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 26. Tomorrow, a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 46. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 59. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
The Senior Bowl. For 75 years, it's been the proving ground of football's greatest legends. The tradition continues Saturday, February 3rd as the legends return to Mobile. Join us at Hancock Whitney Stadium, where the first 5,000 entrants will receive limited edition bobbleheads of the 75th team legends. Dan Marino, DeMarcus Ware, Aaron Donald, Sean Alexander, and Cornelius Bennett. Get your tickets for the 75th Senior Bowl at seniorbowl.com. The draft starts in Mobile.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
If you got more A's on your truck than you did in high school, you might be a Bama fan. Now back to the Coach James Hale Show on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Phil Collins here in the morning. Is this your walkout song here? I don't care anymore.
You can even subliminal messages.
I do love the intro to the song.
We didn't make your subliminal song.
Spell it. Well, let's get back into the NFL playoffs here. So, all right, the pain's over, Jim. We got past the Browns.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a game that was a little bit painful to watch. The night game, the Chiefs and Dolphins. I mean, we all kind of suspected the Dolphins were, boy, if the Browns weren't the most injured team in football, the Dolphins were by the end of it. And then they're playing in, 8-degree weather or whatever they had there. I mean, like I told David yesterday afternoon, I said the only shame of it was the skybox glass wasn't frosted over, and we had to keep looking at Taylor Swift the whole game. But Chiefs get past the Dolphins 26-7. Other than Patrick Mahomes getting his helmet cracked wide open,
that was crazy.
Wasn't a really exciting game, but guys, I don't care if they snuck in, limped in, whatever. The Chiefs are in the playoffs. They're a dangerous team.
Oh, yeah. And I told everybody that. They're going to flip that switch. They have enough talent to win the Super Bowl again. Whether they're playing at home or on the road, it's going to be a little bit tougher on the road, especially if they have to go into Buffalo, which I think they're going into next week. Yeah. So that's always a tough place to play. But they're used to playing in elements. I mean, all they got to do is catch the ball. I mean, if they catch the ball, I mean, they have so many drops on offense. Kelsey had, another 3 or 4 this weekend. That would have made the game even worse. But if he's on, which I'm still questioning, what's going on in his head and everything going on around him. He's got a lot going on. But if they're on, they're probably the favorite to win the AFC, in my opinion, even over the Ravens. The Ravens got to prove it to me. Lamar Jackson's phenomenal during the regular season, but as we know, when you get into the playoffs, defenses defend you a little bit differently. They make you sit in the pocket. They make you read defenses, and that's kind of been his, bugaboo over the playoffs. He's playing much better, though. I think he's definitely up to the task, but that's going to be a good, AFC championship game if that plays out.
And Lamar hasn't played for 2 weeks.
Right.
And that sometimes you can get out of rhythm. I want to ask Glenn and Jim as coaches about this. What I found interesting, I don't know if you watched it, but that helmet got cracked hard. And it popped off, and it was very evident. It's right above his head. I don't know how you don't see it. And they played the next play with it. And I remember looking at TV going, guys, y'all have to see this. They got to stop play or something. Were y'all surprised they didn't catch it, stop play with the way
I heard about this. I didn't watch the game at all. But I heard I was wondering, I've been in this a long time. I've never seen, I didn't see it, but I was like, what they were describing. I've never seen that happen. And if it did, why, like you say, why didn't they stop the game?
So now they got the little insert there in the front of the forehead that kind of leaves a little gap that's kind of that allows a little bit of give. Mm-hmm. So when that hit, that whole cracked on the whole side. I was sitting there thinking, do not let him play another down. If he gets hurt, the helmet company's going to get sued. The NFL is going to get sued. Can you imagine Patrick Mahomes getting hurt after a cracked helmet? I've never seen a cracked helmet like that, except maybe back in the 80s, 90s when they were using these old school helmets and they were still hitting helmet to helmet on almost every play.
I tried the 60s, and I'll tell you.
That too,
Well, those were, you couldn't crack leather. I've seen face masks pop off.
That too,
I've never seen an actual crack in the material.
Not like that type of helmet.
Right.
So, I was more afraid he was going to get a punctured head or cut or
sliced up. Did they think it was due to the cold? The cold just
it could have been, but it was one of those $1 million kind of the way it lined up, and he just popped him exactly right, and it just, you saw it. I mean, it popped loose, and like I said, it was evident. It wasn't like it was in a place you wouldn't have noticed, and I was like Jason. I was looking at television like, surely they're stopping this, right? I mean,
their focus here lately, and with the officials, has not been. I don't know what they're focusing on. It's not the game. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They must be thinking I better do a better job, or they're going to fire me. But then they miss stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think they're just trying to stay out of it. I don't think they're trying to call anything. Sure. But the problem is they'll insert themselves in the fourth quarter of a game on a hold or something that hadn't been called the whole game, and it's just. I thought the college playoffs did a little bit better where there was a lot of holding, there was a lot of, kind of grabbing on, the wide receivers and stuff. But for the most part, they stayed out of it. I mean, they said, you know what, we're just not going to call anything unless it's just completely blatant.
You can get the feel of the game they were going to call, and you can get into that. It's like an umpire with a strike zone.
Right.
Once you kind of see the way he's going to call it, just stay that way, and we'll adjust. Whoo, talk about ugliness. Look, they got beat by 16. I don't think it was that close. It was ugly. Packers could do no wrong against the Cowboys, who could do no right. 48-32 in Dallas. Let's talk about the game, and then is Mike McCarthy the coach of the Cowboys next year? I mean, that's, I don't know.
This is just, I have no dog in the fight here at all, but how can you keep McCarthy? This is just me.
Yeah.
They were undefeated at home, averaging 38 points a game at home, and they got dog walked by the youngest team in the NFL.
Right.
With a bunch of rookie receivers and a guy who this is his first time he'd ever started a playoff game, Jordan Love. Now, give him credit. He did a great job. They really did. But how do you let that happen? And they made a game of it, made it But it was 27-0.
Right, right. Yeah, that game was over. I mean, they scored some late touchdowns just to make it look cosmetically better than it was.
Right, exactly.
I never understood Hiram McCarthy to begin with. I mean, at Green Bay he did okay, but he wasn't some phenomenal. He wasn't the difference of them winning and losing. You can almost say he probably was the one that held Aaron Rodgers back from winning a couple more Super Bowls if you looked at it. So I didn't understand the hire at first. I don't see how you keep him. You got Bill Belichick out there. You got Harbaugh, as much as I not like him out there.
Got Vrabel.
Vrabel's out there. You got guys, and what they need, and this may never happen under Jerry Jones, they need somebody that has control, that can come in and say, this is the standard, this is how we're going to run things. They're not tough. If you watch that defense, they were just as bad as the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't stop anything, and they weren't tackling anybody. So,
the interesting thing was, I was kind of watching body language, and even before it went bad, CeeDee Lamb, who's normally an unbelievably confident player, not cocky, but very confident player. I mean, you could see in his eyes, like he looked like a rookie playing Michael Jordan. I mean, he looked like he almost looked like he didn't know what to do.
Dak looked scared to me.
I'd never seen that.
That interception he threw, where you have, they were playing, looked like a basic cover two, where they had 4 guys across the board. They were in these slants, and he threw it like right to the guy where there was a safety over the top. He had inside leverage on the corner, and those are easy reads. Just being a high school, quarterback back, and that wasn't even a very good one. I was sitting there thinking, how do you make that throw?
Yeah.
They didn't take any drop at all. You're reading the defense. It's a zone. He's running right into the slant, and he threw it right to him, and that was the end of the game right there. That made it 27-0.
Yeah, that
there was no chance they were coming back from that. The whole team looked demoralized. The defense couldn't tackle anybody. So I think they got to move on from McCarthy. And I'm not a big fire him guy, but what has he really done even at Green Bay that warrants him still being there?
Jerry Jones probably needs to fire himself too, because he's so involved in everything. You can't do anything without him making a comment.
And I was thinking of this too. We are a little bit older than a lot of the fans out there, especially Glenn and I are a lot older. I mean, we remember Tom Landry and Walt Garrison and all that, and Jethro Pugh, when the Cowboys were really the Cowboys. They haven't won a Super Bowl since what, like the mid-'90s?
Switzer.
Yeah.
And there's no players probably playing that even remember them in a Super Bowl.
No.
So I don't think the big, oh my God, we got to play in Jerry's world and we got to play the Cowboys. So what?
Yeah. Right.
And
I don't think it's America's team anymore.
They say they are, but you never word to me. But I just don't think that mystique of playing the Cowboys exists. I just don't.
No, I agree. I don't think that star means what it once did.
No.
Here's the thing. How far do you go anymore with Dak Prescott?
That's what I was going to say. Do you wrap up more money in him?
I've said this forever.
That's
Mississippi State
that's
guy.
Right. That's right.
Well, yeah, but he lost to Ole Miss and he got beat up down here. And,
the Panama City one wasn't
my friends all called me and said, "How do you let Dak get beat up in your town?" I said he should have beat Ole Miss.
Right.
There you go. I thought you were his personal entourage.
Here's the thing. No, I was holding the camera. The thing about it is that the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is a different position than pretty much any other in the NFL.
Right.
Dak, off the field, fits that role beautifully. And that's why I think he's gotten a few. It's not that he's a bad player. He's a good player.
Regular season, he's phenomenal.
But it's kind of getting the point I got with Tannehill in Tennessee. It was like, I love what he's done. He did better than I thought he was going to do. But I've seen this movie.
Right.
I know how it ends. And I want to see a new movie. I feel we're getting that way with Dak. I think with Dak, if he wasn't so good in all the other ambassador roles that you have to be the Dallas quarterback, I think they probably would have already moved.
They were the number 2 seed. I mean, it's not like they're losing. I mean, regular season.
Oh, there were a lot of people who thought this was a year.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit, not style-wise, but he reminds me of Andy Dalton for the Bengals. I mean, Andy Dalton went to a Pro Bowl, regular season champs, went to playoffs, never won a playoff game, just couldn't handle the pressure of the playoffs. Right. So it kind of reminds me of that. To me, I would move on from the coach. I'd move on from the quarterback. I would tear it up. Their defense still has a lot of talent. They got a lot of talent at wide receiver. But to me, he just seems like a guy that just doesn't have it to win a Super Bowl. So if your goal is to win the Super Bowl, I'm moving on from Dak and from Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. Quickly, I want to go through the rest of the scores. We may come back to the matchups later in the show to go through it. The Lions continue to be a great story. Best game of the weekend, 24-23 over the Rams.
Yeah.
They welcome Matt Stafford back by booing him, booing his family, booing his kids. I mean, it was Detroit.
Hell yeah.
So, the Bills get past the Steelers, 31-17. the fun of that game was watching all the snow fly into the air up in the stands afterwards. Josh Allen, we mentioned with the fake slide. They're definitely going to need to address that. And then the Eagles, just a woeful performance. I mean, they rivaled the Cowboys for ineptitude, and the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield just put it on them.
They look good.
Yeah, they did.
Cleveland probably won them now.
Yeah, I think the Bucs are another team that entered the playoffs feeling like they're playing with house money, and they're just playing free and fun.
And home games matter in the NFL. A lot of people don't understand that. I mean, when you're playing at home, especially in that warm weather for Tampa Bay, going up into Buffalo or something like that, it matters. So,
sure.
I mean, but give Baker Mayfield credit. I left him for dead. I mean, he came out this year. He's won some big games, won a playoff game. So, congratulations to him. Like I said, I know Cleveland would like him back now.
Yeah, Tampa had a secret weapon last night. They had Ric Flair. Woo!
Yeah,
he was a running back. He was catching screen passes everywhere. That kid was good.
The thing with Baker Mayfield, he had a lot of personality issues. His issues was he's trying to play a tough guy when he didn't really need to.
Right.
That last year there, his left shoulder was like essentially separated, like 2/3. And he tried to play through it.
Right.
And they say, well, it's not his throwing shoulder, but play quarterback with one arm. I mean,
right.
Yeah. And he tried to play through it. He tried to be tough, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and just everything fell apart.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have more on the NFL later today, but coming up next, we're going to have Emily Bennett to talk to us about some sports nutrition. That'll be fun because, other than Jason here, the rest of us might need some of this here. But we're going to talk to her next about that. Real quick, I want to talk about Rudy's Barbecue. Jason? Man. I mean, you're down there more than the employees. I think.
Yeah. I got 3 things I get. I get that brisket sandwich, which is phenomenal, but I do get their brisket, new potatoes and cream corn, and they got that new jalapeno cheddar sausage with the Rudy beans. Ooh. I mean, you can eat a lot of food. It's really good, but it's also, they got some healthy alternatives for you, too, if you want to get something that not going to pack on the extra pounds.
Yeah, I'll take them for you.
Brian, I was just thinking, they need to give him his own room. Forget about Hale.
That's right.
Jason Kovaleski's there 3 days a week. He
they take care of me. I can't say
you need your own room.
Right.
They darn sure need to take Hale's picture off the wall because that's an appetite suppressant.
That might be a good thing.
All right. On that, we're going to head to break here. I'll get a couple more of our sponsors coming back in. Emily Bennett coming up next. You're listening to the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest.
How come Hale gets his own room?
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia today and test drive a new 2024 Kia. You'll see why everyone is talking about Kia. The 2024 Kia will give you the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2024 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in a luxury sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Drive away today in a new 2024 Kia K5. Performance, power, and design built just for you. Discover the new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Bill Bird Kia, the original home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you just like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty.
Give them a call. Phone lines are open. 850-215-6290. The Coach James Hale Show is taking your calls live and local. from the J. Michael Studio, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is a wonderful song, but the funny thing is having lived in Nashville, I fully expect to hear Dave Ramsey come on when I hear this song. Talk to me about how I'm spending too much money.
This is like some smooth operator stuff here.
Yeah, this is great. Was it Baker Street? Yeah. That was a good one.
Jerry Rafferty.
See, I love coming in here and he stumped me yesterday, and that doesn't happen very often. But anyway, enough about me. Let's get into our special guest here. We love looking at Glenn every morning, but I think we've upgraded a little bit But Jason, I'm going to let you introduce our guest to us here on the show.
Yeah, so Emily works with us at MaxFit Sports Nutrition. She's our certified sports nutritionist, but she's got a very extensive background in athletics here in Bay County. So Emily Bennett, you actually worked out or competed in Olympic weightlifting at Arnold, didn't you?
Yes, so I started my sophomore year in 2017 over at Arnold, back when they still had bench and clean and jerk only, but then Flag and Donka Flag, they went out and got their USAW coaching certification, started teaching Arnold snatch and stuff, getting us, ahead of the game. But with that, I got a powerlifting and a weightlifting scholarship to a college out in Missouri. And then came back here, got my own USAW coaching certification, personal training certification, really trying to give back to the community that kick-started my entire career.
Nice.
Several years ago, a buddy of mine, his daughter was doing weightlifting, and it was when the state was at Arnold. And he was not able to get over there, so I was there to be support for Sydney. I'd never seen one before. If you've never gone to a weightlifting, especially the girls, it is the most exciting thing.
It's a lot better in person than what you.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. But I'm curious as to this because I don't know how it was for you guys, but growing up, I would say that weightlifting was not something I expected girls to be into.
Right.
Just for image concern or whatever like that. I mean, being big didn't seem like a thing. How did you get into it, and did you have those worries?
Actually, yes. I'm originally from Indiana. I moved down here in 2017. Before I moved down here, I had a friend who did, the CrossFit Games and all that stuff, and I actually asked her, aren't you scared of looking like a man? Oh, how the tables have turned. Anyway, so with that, I was actually in my, credit required weightlifting class with Coach Pedro. And he was like, hey, we have a girls weightlifting team. And I honestly chuckled in his face because I was like, there's no way that's a thing. Right. And so I went and I met Josh Flagg, and I absolutely fell in love with him, the team, the environment that they were providing. And it was history since then.
Talk about the adjustment, just kind of getting into the sport of it, and like what was maybe the toughest thing? Was it just the learning the technique of things? Was it the discipline that you have to hold? I mean, what was difficult for you getting into the sport that maybe the layperson wouldn't understand?
For me personally, it was just that everyday dedication. This was the first time where I had to show up every single day. And so I'm very fortunate because, like I said, I fell in love with the environment that they were providing because you are who you surround yourself by. And so the environment that the Flags built at Arnold, it was just so welcoming, so encouraging. And I was coming from a really tough place in Indiana when I moved down here, across the country. So that was a perfect outlet for me mentally, emotionally, physically. So,
but it paid off. Talk about a little bit about the state titles that you guys won, because that was we saw it on the news. It's super exciting. Yeah. Everybody around here knew that, what was going on. So you guys were pretty famous at the time. So talk a little bit about those victories and what those meant to you.
So I was a part of the team when we first started, getting our back-to-back titles. We won my junior year, we won my senior year, and I'm very blessed to say that I got first place in both my weight classes those years as well. And if you guys probably don't know, but for the people that were there for my senior state, I actually almost bombed out my senior year of state. You only get 3 attempts at each lift. I missed my first clean and jerk. I missed my second clean and jerk.
Wow.
And
a lot of pressure.
To say the least.
Yeah, as you know, because I coached it too, mentally that's really hard to come back from.
Absolutely.
Because can you go back down weight?
No, you
once
cannot.
the weight
You missed it. You have to at least
you cannot go back down.
Once the weight's on the bar, it is on the bar.
Yeah, so that's the starting point's a big deal.
Right.
You better have something you can handle that first lift.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I end up getting my last clean and jerk, and thank the Lord I did, because if I didn't, the whole team would have lost by 1
Yeah, I remember
point.
it being that close. I'm fascinated by this because, I mean, I coached another sport and we've all coached things, but it's that moment of where it's all on the line on this.
Absolutely.
And how people find themselves like that. Is it something where coach comes over and talks to you? There's some athletes I remember I would go to and I'd be like, I'd have to zone them in.
Right.
There are some I remember a girl at high school state, I went up and told her a joke I probably shouldn't have told her to make her laugh.
Yes. Right.
Because it was what she needed. So what was the process for you zoning in on that last?
So me personally, again, just blessed with amazing coaches. My coach really knew me and understood how I function, and he knew that let her be.
Yeah.
Let her get in her zone. Let her do what she needs to do. In high school, I was always known as the girl dancing off to the side of the platform before she went and lifted double her weight, her body weight. So he really just let me get in my moment. But of course, as soon as that barbell started coming back down, the platform was flooded by my coaches, my teammates. Just the support was amazing.
Yeah.
What a feeling.
Now, it's interesting to me because when you get the weight up, you obviously know, okay, I've got it up, and you want to celebrate because you know what it means, but you have to hold it for a little bit of time. How hard is that? I mean, I guess you do it so many times.
Yes, I would say it's definitely that, but it's, practice makes perfect, practice makes permanent. So if you are not practicing that hold, it's going to be a little hard.
I'd have been wondering they'd have mobbed you before the
Maybe.
So what weight were you competing at, and what was your final lift that won the actual
that won the actual? So my junior year, I won in the 139 by a 30-pound
Was that pounds?
gap.
Just so we're
139 pounds
Okay.
weight class, yes. And
This is America. I don't know what kilograms are.
I would say I'm blessed that I practice in pounds, because when I go to compete Olympic weightlifting meets, I have no idea what's on the bar. I just go to lift it. But yes, my junior year, I competed in the 139-pound weight class, and I won by a 30-pound gap between first and second. My senior year, I dropped down to the 129 weight class and won by a 60-pound gap.
Wow.
My bench was 200, and my clean and jerk was 185. So.
Dang. Don't work out near me.
Yeah.
Stay on the other side of the gym.
Fortunately, you don't have to worry about working out near me. I'd have to go to the gym first.
For the people who don't lift weights, you weigh approximately 130 pounds, and you're benching 200 pounds.
It's almost twice
back
your
in
weight.
high school.
That's impressive. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yes.
I mean, that's impressive.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about the journey then. So we finished high school. We've got our 2 state championships. We're going on to college and the next level. So where do we go?
We went off to college, and unfortunately, after my first year, both the weightlifting and powerlifting coaches resigned from their positions. So no program, no scholarship, no college.
Wow.
So I unfortunately did have to come back home, but I was the recipient of USAW's Women in Coaching Scholarship. So I did get my level 1 certification. Thank you. And so I started really getting implemented with coaching and stuff like that around here, going back to the high schools, doing technique sessions with the athletes, because like I said, I'm very fortunate that I've had the high school athlete experience as well as the unattached coach, not affiliated with a team or anything. Right. So I understand that a lot of these coaches, they are teachers too. They don't have the time, the mental capacity, really sit down and give these students the one-on-one that they need. And so that's why I'm very fortunate to be able to come in and give those students those technique sessions and everything that they really need.
Just out of curiosity, what college was this? Because I didn't know of anyone that offered any kind of weightlifting programs.
This was in Missouri Valley College up in Marshall, Missouri. Yes, hopefully. Don't quote me on this, but since I graduated, I do believe that there's been a lot more colleges that have
because I had never heard
teams.
of that.
Yes.
Yeah, you started to see some being added for Title IX, balance compliance and things like that. But I'm real curious here because I want to get into the nutrition aspect in the next segment. But I'm curious, you'd spent time in Indiana, but you were on the beach. How's Marshall, Missouri compared to the beach?
Man, I was like, you know what? I'm excited to go, close back to home. I miss the Four Seasons. No, I don't. No, I do not.
No.
I miss that cold?
No. Snow's pretty to look at, not to be in. Not to be in.
Amen. There you go. I'm from Ohio originally.
There you go.
It was fun as a kid, but not as an adult.
That's right.
It hurts my bones.
Tell me about it. This hurts me, and I mean this is nothing. But let's talk about some of our sponsors here. We're going to come back on the other side of the break with Emily and talk more about kind of the road into nutrition and the importance of that. But let's talk about Chuck Tucker here, South Oak Title and Closing. Look, when it comes time to close on your real estate deals, you don't want any kind of hassle, any kind of delay, and that's why all the top realtors in this area demand Chuck Tucker and South Oak Title and Closing, and you should too. Dr. John Ward, we're going to have him in here tomorrow to talk everything about the Gators and gun raffles and everything he's got going on over there. But you need to go see Dr. John Ward at Dermatology Specialist because skin cancer is deadly. The fact that we live in paradise should not be any kind of negative. So 5 minutes can literally save your life. If you're listening right now, he has an office near you. Dr. John Ward with Dermatology Specialists. And then Turf Pro Pest Control. They're out there working on Glenn's yard all the time, but that's mainly because of the donuts I do when I leave here. But look, you want to be the talk of the neighborhood for the right reasons with your yard. Get Turf Pro Pest Control, and they will have your yard looking just as good as all those football fields we see on Saturday. We come back, more with Emily Bennett, more with nutrition. I got my notepad ready. Let's get into it. Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is already your home for the most live and local sports talk. And now we're taking...
Oh, he got all of that one.
The Inside Drive. Ryan Mulvey, middays, 11 to 1 inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. The latest reactions to the biggest stories happening right now. Plus, interviews, sports betting, and your calls.
He's got to be pleased with that.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, some sun and a high of 42 with a blustery wind coming out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 26. Tomorrow, a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 46. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 59. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Come on down and get in on all the Senior Bowl excitement Saturday, February 3rd. From tailgating to game day and epic Mardi Gras parades. Enjoy an action-packed Saturday leading up to a free live concert by Counting Crows at Mardi Gras Park, downtown Mobile at 8 p.m. Get your tickets for the 75th Senior Bowl today at seniorbowl.com. The draft starts in Mobile.
He's a 10-foot-tall, barrel-chested beast man who showers in vodka and feeds his baby shrimp scampi.
Kind of a big deal.
Please welcome.
Ain't gonna hurt.
Live and local from the J. Michaels studio, the Coach James Hale Show, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
That's Charlie Brown playing the piano there.
I love it. Feeling all right. And I am, as long as I'm inside.
Right.
It's too cold out there.
Amen.
Well, let's get back into the story here because, I got a feeling we're going to take some twists and turns on this road. Emily Bennett joining us here, certified sports nutritionist working with Jason out there at MaxFit. And so we've gotten up through the college and dropping the program, but we got a lot more to go. Jason, let's lead us into where we're going next.
So I know Olympic weightlifting was your passion, but at some point you had to kind of move away from that for a little bit. So talk a little bit about what happened and how you started transitioning from Olympic weightlifting to where you actually entered a bodybuilding contest, won an overall. So talk a little bit about that.
So I, back in 2022, I actually won the under 25 59 kilogram national championship for Olympic weightlifting.
There we go.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
So I won that national championship. And of course, I was like, top of the top, let's keep going.
Right. That's right.
But unfortunately, in June of 2023, I did get T-boned and I sustained some pretty sick, nasty nerve damage and nerve issues from that. So unable to continue Olympic weightlifting. But around that time, that's when I started working with Jason over at MaxFit. Started picking up in-store hours at the 23rd location just to develop my own nutrition, education and stuff like that. And so really starting to learn the ins and outs of basic nutrition and supplements and stuff, and being around, a huge community of bodybuilders, I decided, why not?
Right.
Let's give it a try. And the next show that was coming up was the Muscle for Heart, which was at Arnold. So I thought, it's a sign. It's a sign.
Yeah.
Start where I started. And I'm very fortunate to say that I won the overall wellness championship title, whatever you call that.
I'll give you a little bit breakdown of what a bodybuilding show is. So there's individual classes.
Why do you say that like I don't know?
Well, I don't know a lot. I mean, it's hard to break down for a lot of us because there's so many classes now, but there's different classes. So they have wellness, which also has, divisions within the wellness of height, weight, and ratio, stuff like that. So you can win your division, but to win the overall, you have to beat everybody else that won their division. So she won the overall as a natural athlete.
Wow.
There's a lot of people in the NPC that aren't natural. They use other things for enhancement, but because of her ethics and sports that she wants to maybe one day compete in Olympic weightlifting again, she's an all-natural athlete. And she won the overall, which is absolutely phenomenal, especially for her age. I mean, you get bodybuilders that have been there 5-10 years, and it takes years to put on that type of muscle. So for her to be able to win that was just a huge accomplishment and just another kind of feather in her cap. But I think that's when you started transitioning more into learning about nutrition and stuff like that.
Absolutely, because that was, I've always been the athlete of, as long as I get my protein intake in and lift really heavy, then nothing else really matters.
Right.
But, through not only the education, but actually doing the thing, I really could see not only the physical changes, but the mental, emotional, and biological changes that I had, with the actual diet and cutting out anti-inflammatory foods, and also kind of touching on the anti-inflammatory foods. I did discover after the wreck that I have lupus, which is an autoimmune disorder.
Right.
So it affects my thyroid, liver, kidneys, all that fun stuff. So with that, it was really fun trying to, kind of work with nutrition and supplements and battling all this new information. But kind of backtracking a little bit back to the all natural. The reason why I am pursuing that complete all natural is because I will continue my Olympic weightlifting career. And, as an Olympic athlete, you sign paperwork stating that you will stay clean. And I signed it once, and I hold true to that. And so with that, I will actually be competing in Tallahassee this Saturday at an OCB show. Excellent. OCB is the all-natural federation compared to NPC.
I would imagine being in that protocol, you're probably still on the USADA list for testing and everything like that.
Yes.
We had to deal with that with swim as well.
Yes.
So
they actually do lie detectors tests for the OCB shows. So
excellent.
You win as soon as you step on stage. You do your urinalysis, and they do a lie detector test right on spot.
Excellent. So I'm curious as to this now, because I've talked about this on the show before, and with Jason, I think it's the thing that can really separate you is sports nutrition right now. Absolutely. I think 20 years ago it was dry land training for sports like swim that was in the water and things like that. But now I think it's this, and I still think it's the thing that not enough people implement young enough. How aware were you of nutrition, like say through high school and up into college? Or
So I tried, I realized, if I'm training well, I need to be eating well. And I tried counting macros and stuff like that. But if you don't understand what your body needs, you have no idea what to give your body.
Right.
And so I tried doing, protein intake. That was practically the basic level of my nutrition knowledge while I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I always tell the high school athletes that I see now, if I did what I did in high school, doing what I did, I couldn't imagine what I could have done with this type of resource. And, like I said, I came back to this community that kickstarted my whole career. I'm here to give back to this community.
Right.
And if I can give them that education, that assistance that would really traject them so far in the future, I would absolutely love to do that.
And that's what I think is so important. I know we have a lot of coaches who listen to us. They're probably going into school at this point, but I know a lot do. That was something Jason and I worked on years ago. I wish I'd followed up more on it before I did get out of coaching because, we had Jason and the guy that was working for you at the time come out and do stuff. We had kids go in, do the in-body work with MaxFit. I think having you around is just, it's one thing when people our age maybe talk to kids, but someone who, can relate a lot more to the young athletes and someone who has recently done it and is still doing it, I think would be so helpful because like you said, if I had known then what I know now, what could I do? I just think it's something that all of the athletes in this town just need to just educate yourself about because it can give you such an advantage.
And another thing with that is because, with USADA and all of that stuff, all of the products that I use from MaxFit, I double check with USADA's website, make sure it's all good to go. But also with that, I always make sure that, when I do these meal plans and stuff, I have some people who I don't want to do any supplementation. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But especially for those people who struggle to get meals in and such like that, protein, meal replacement, high quality protein and meal replacement is definitely going to be your best bet.
And talk just briefly about supplements. So many people see certain things different places, and unfortunately there are retail outlets, not MaxFit, more national, that don't seem to care what they put out there.
Or don't have the knowledge to know exactly what an athlete needs when they need it.
Supplements can be a bit of the Wild West in terms of regulation and this, that, and the other, so people need to be very careful with supplements, correct?
Yes, so I will actually be out to Orange Theory on the 27th doing a little bit of a meal plan, not webinar, but a little speech kind of thing, because I practically break it down to 3 little basic topics. Your gut health, what you're eating, and when you're eating. Because your gut health, if your stomach is not healthy, if it is not able to actually absorb those nutrients, you're eating healthy for nothing practically. If your body can't get those vitamins and minerals, they're just going to go straight through you. So gut health is definitely very, very important. And then what you're eating. Quality, clean foods. A lot of people, perfect example, rice. People say, oh, minute rice, it's rice. It's not. It's not rice.
Okay, top of the notes.
Right? If you're going to do rice, no minute rice, please. Plus, it's cheaper to get the 97-cent bag of dry rice. And then when you're eating, this is a huge, huge thing that was really highlighted during my prep. The greatest analogy I actually read while I was doing my certification, and it's like fueling a car. Your gas tank, you're not going to keep filling up your gas tank when it's 3/4 full. You want to wait until it's empty, until you fill it all the way back up again, but you don't want to run on an empty tank. Your body is the exact same way. You need to be eating every 2 to 4 hours. That's going to help your blood sugar levels and make sure that there's no insulin spikes, especially for those who are borderline diabetic. Eating consistently and eating clean is definitely going to help, biophysiological responses.
That's a big old word.
I know. It's the little stuff.
Yeah, the timing is something Jason's been harping to me for years, and that's something I did not know.
Some people are afraid of carbs. Carbs are absolutely important to fuel your body. I mean, they're the energy our body needs to convert to glucose that we expend energy on. So a lot of people get scared off of it because they think they're going to get fat. But if you're choosing the right type of carbs, complex carbs, brown rice, sweet potatoes, oats, and the timing of them. So what I like to do is I like to eat my carbs basically an hour before my my workout up to about 2 hours post-workout. But the time frames outside those times, I'm very low carb, so I'm keeping fat accumulation low.
And feeding off of that, your brain does use 30% of your carb intake just to function.
Yeah.
So carbs are important for bodily functions. And second, the timing before training is very, very important.
Right.
You need to make sure that your blood is not going to that digestion while you're training. You want that blood to go through your muscles, so making sure that you're eating at least an hour prior.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know where you were going with that. I thought you were looking at me saying you only use 30% of your brain.
No.
I've heard that.
She knows you too well.
I've heard that a lot.
I thought you've never met. I mean,
Emily, this has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, I feel like we could talk to you for just hours and hours. We definitely hope to have you back because this has been wonderful.
Very impressive.
And I do want to stress, this is not just for athletes.
No.
I mean, these meal plans are for anybody who wants to be healthier, to gain more knowledge and everything like that.
And just tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, because our meal plans now, they're 50% off for high school kids. They're $100 normally a month. The $300 package, if you do the 3 months, you get $150 worth of supplements and 3 months of a meal plan. But if you just want to sign up for a month, especially the high school kids, we're taking it down to $50 a month. So that's really inexpensive, but you can just sit down, pick her brain. We use the InBody 570 to track results, and she's certified under Lucia Sorelli, which is one of the top dietitians in the country. So just tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so if you want to come speak to me in person, I kind of bounce back between the Max Fit over on 23rd in the Coronado Village right next to Tzatziki's and Granny Contrell's, and I will be also over at the beach location in Pier Park, located right next to Dick's Sporting Goods. But also, if you want to find me on Instagram, it's at Bennett, Bennett W2TS. Bennett with 2 T's, because everybody forgets the second T.
And you can call the 23rd Street store, which is where she works the most. It's 850-257-5780. We can set up your appointment. Basically, you'll come in, you'll do your initial InBody reading. She'll be able to put that information and your goals into their formula and be able to put your meal plan out, where you basically take the guesswork out. We tell you what to eat, when to eat it, and you will get results if you can follow the plan.
Absolutely right. Max Fit Sports Nutrition, folks, on the beach, in town. Try it before you buy it. Deal with very knowledgeable staff who will steer you in the right direction. I've got to get out there. Jason's going to snatch me up one day and just force me to go in.
We're going to do it together. I've been slacking myself.
I will also go ahead and add, for my people that I do meal plans and stuff with, not only are you're going to get that initial information, your weekly check-ins and such, but I do also understand the importance of accountability. I will hold you accountable. I'm going to have midday week check-ins, just checking in, say, hey, how you doing, how you feeling, all that jazz.
Yeah, we're not going to hand you a diet and then you just go off.
Absolutely
There's
not.
going to be somebody there that you can ask questions. If you need to text her or something, it's a support
she
system.
looked at me with that hold you accountable thing. I mean, have you been...
Yep, I told her, I was like, he's really, I say we need to work on it. I'm just
smack about you guys all the time.
It's probably all
it's
true.
My family here, though.
All right,
sure.
well,
This is our dodgeball team here.
Well, Emily, again, it's a pleasure having you.
It's been an
Thank you
honor.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Y'all get out and check out Emily and check out Max Fit Sports Nutrition. When we come back, everybody's favorite segment of the day, the Alabama Update. On the Coach James Hale Show.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive.
Play the dang guitar. We got it. We got it happen. Recording.
Birdies and beer.
See, you're depriving us of this.
That's one thing Daddy likes, and that's birdies and beer.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, some sun and a high of 42 with a blustery wind coming out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 26. Tomorrow, a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 46. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 59. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey there, folks. Looking for a place that feels like home right in the heart of Panama City? Well, look no further than Charlie Corm's place at their new location on 15th Street. Charlie Corm's is not just a place, it's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
Your home to the NFL. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida.
In the jewelry business, there is no substitute for experience. David Adamson has over 46 years of experience, 32 of those in Lynn Haven. Designing and creating fine jewelry is more than a job for David, it's a joy. If you're looking for a spectacular jewelry design that says you, or perhaps you need your jewelry repaired, look no further than David Adamson Designer Jewelry. All work is done in-house and always to your complete satisfaction. Stop in today at David Adamson Designer Jewelry, 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven. They're on Facebook and at pcjeweler.com.
Put down your natural light. It's time for the Alabama Update. The Alabama Update, weekday mornings at 8. On the Coach James Hale Show at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Roll Tide. Roll. Seemed to do that on my own today.
You did.
A whole lot of people here.
Uncertainty in
Kind of wonder why.
What are you talking about? Everything's positive.
Jamie French.
Nothing to see here.
Sean Murphy.
Oh, those guys were never there anyway.
Yeah.
We'll get into what the word commitment means later.
It doesn't mean anything.
I don't care about Jamie French. How about Caleb Downs?
Yeah. Well, sounds like he might be staying.
Yeah, we're going to, that one's one I definitely want to see come back, that's for sure. Alabama Update brought to you on the Coach James Hale Show by Steverson Air Conditioning. Boy, those guys have been working overtime lately. We've had 4 seasons every couple hours down here, it seems like. But there is no better company to deal with when it comes to your heating or air conditioning unit. Jason and the crew do an absolutely wonderful job. They are local, they are invested in the community, and they will get out to you quickly. And the best thing about them, they're going to tell you exactly what you need. They're not going to upsell you. They will tell you exactly what you need. It might just be servicing, it might be a new unit. Either way, it's just going to pay for itself. Steverson Air Conditioning, they are number one. A lot to talk about when it comes to Alabama, and mostly because of revolving doors, not just with the coaching staff, but with the players. Let's talk about some of the player movement first. Cornerback Trey Amos has planned to enter the transfer portal. Now, he was more of kind of a depth player recently here, but he was in line, they thought, to take over the starting position with Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold both moving on to the NFL. Trey Amos was thought to be in line, to be a starter with that. He was a transfer in from Louisiana Lafayette, was not a highly recruited guy out of high school, was kind of a low 3-star, but made himself a name, and now he's going to enter the transfer portal and looks like possibly seek opportunities elsewhere. Additionally, Shaz Preston, wide receiver, who's been in the portal, also from Louisiana, he's from St. James. He has announced he is transferring to Tulane, so he will be going back to Louisiana and will be playing there, and will do so. Just a couple more quick things, and then we've got a phone call. Tight end Amari Neblack has entered the portal. I hate this because I think that guy was really coming into his own. But, it doesn't mean he's gone, but, we'll have to see. Linebacker Sean Murphy has transferred to Florida State, making the 784th Alabama player to transfer to Florida State. We'll get into more of that at 8:30 on the Florida State Update. And there is one bit of positive news. Jihad Campbell and Deontay Lawson, linebackers, have both announced they will be coming back to Alabama. So not everybody's leaving, but someone who might revel in all the stories of players leaving Alabama, I think, is on the phone line now. Is that Travis on the line?
This is me.
Sound a little happy there, Travis. What's up?
No, I was going to say, I know why I was starting to wonder, because Isaiah Bond left Alabama, and I was like, he, if I'm not mistaken, what I had heard was he was a Florida recruit. He was getting recruited by Florida pretty hard, and I'm like, why is nobody coming here? And then he posted on his Instagram that he's in a Lamborghini in Texas, and I was like, oh. Texas is handing out Lambos. That's why.
Well, that's that oil money.
Yeah, well, they did the deal with Bijan Robinson when he was there with the Lamborghini as well.
So the secret behind that is their leases. So, I mean, and they give them back, and then they sell them and say, hey, Isaiah Bond drove this for...
I think the statute of limitations is up on this, so I can say it. When I was at Mississippi State in the 90s, there was a Nissan Maxima. That's how the times have changed. Right. You could get a guy with a Nissan Maxima that made its way through our best basketball player every single year. So, yeah, it certainly has happened, but at least they're getting Lambos now.
Right.
Well, Jim and I got 15.
High school.
Yeah.
Do what?
I said, Coach Moran and I got $15 laundry money every month.
The 65 Ford Falcon, you know.
That's when you know you arrived there.
Yeah. So,
I know this is high school versus college, but the coolest guy that drove, the coolest thing somebody drove in high school was a $10,000 motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yep. Ain't nothing wrong with that deal, though.
No.
That's cool.
No.
I'll be honest with you, Travis. I'm sure it's already happening somewhere. I'm worried how long before this becomes prevalent in high school. It's got to be close.
It's
I mean,
you just don't know it.
Yeah.
I had heard, was it yesterday on the afternoon show? I think they had somebody talking about, I think Todd was talking about cards, and he said there was some high school cards.
Yeah, there are some states where the high school athletes are able to be a part of NIL, and they have deals with the kid at Tennessee now, Nico Imaleva, or whatever, however you say it. He actually had cards while still in high school. I actually think Ty Simpson did as well.
Remember Quinn Ewers going to Ohio State. The reason he went to Ohio State because Texas doesn't have high school NIL,
correct.
So he had to transfer there. He got $1 million from a car dealership to be one of the NIL guys, and then transfer back to Texas when he was eligible to get NIL money in Texas.
What was it? He got a $500,000 per pass attempt, I think.
I guess.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I noticed the Alabama update, Travis, but, I mean, what do you think about your Gators? I mean, everything obviously everybody's talking about this is win or gone for Billy. What do you think about the Gators coming in?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say right now. There's not very many moves being made. I mean, we're getting pretty good players, linebackers, things like that we need. I think the last big move was we got Auburn's defensive coordinator on the staff. I mean, I think that could be some good. But all in all, I mean, I think he's going to do a good job. I'm hoping he can coach his way out of the trouble he's in this year.
Their biggest problem is they have the toughest schedule in America, period. I mean, if you look at it, there's not one. Even their giveaway game is UCF.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their weakest game. They play LSU, brutal. Alabama, they play Georgia. I mean, they legitimately, if they went 6-6, you should give Napier the SEC Coach of the Year. Yeah. I mean, it's that tough of a schedule. So,
and I think that's so unfair for him right now because this is his year. I mean, this is his year to prove it or go home. And I think it's so unfair to say that. And I'm kind of hoping Scott Strickland doesn't do that. But if he doesn't, chances are they would fire him.
Well, I was going to say Scott may be trying to protect himself too.
Right.
That's the thing.
With as hard as it is, as the schedule is, I mean, it's so unfair to say this is your year to make it or break it. Especially with the players transferring out, and he's just getting his quarterback in. Yeah. So I'm a guy that says let him get his quarterback in, let him show Graham Mertz, to the NFL, because I mean ultimately Mertz is probably going to be a good backup in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But let him show Mertz to the NFL, and then let's get DJ in there, and let's give him a year on his own after this trial year here and see what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, see if he's the next Tebow that saves his job like Tebow did Urban.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he gets the year. I'm not sure he will, but appreciate it, Travis. We'll talk to you again next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good man.
Real quickly here, South Alabama's head coach Kane Womack is expected to be named Alabama's new defensive coordinator.
Big hire.
That is a good hire. I'm a big fan of Womack.
But great hire.
He's worked with DeBoer before, had great defenses working there with him at Indiana. His South Alabama crew, I think, was ranked 16th in the country in most defensive stats.
And he was a head coach,
year.
not a defensive coordinator.
That's right. He's done a wonderful job everywhere he is. He knows the state of Alabama recruiting. He's had great players in there at South Alabama, drafted guys, so I think this is a big pickup for Alabama if it goes. Yeah. I know he wanted Robinson to come back from Georgia, which made sense, but hey, look, if you go to plan B and it's Kane Womack.
The one thing I didn't understand about that, if they really wanted T-Rob, why didn't they offer him the job before he left for Georgia? Yeah. I mean, that to me was a bundle. I don't know if that was a Saban to DeBoer transition error or...
I think there was 24 to 36 hours where they weren't real organized, then they got it together.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm seeing.
And Kirby wasn't going to let him go.
Oh, God, no.
He wants Caleb Downs. That's the guy that's inside for him. But I think what Alabama fans have to understand, he's not going to be an extension of Saban. He's not going to come win 3 national titles. But if you let this guy build his program at everywhere he's been, I think he's 116-13 in 3 different divisions. He's a phenomenal coach. I think he hit a home run. Now, is he the flashy Lane Kiffin name that we all expect to hear? No, but this guy can coach football. You got to give him a year or two to get his system in place and be able to develop his players, but I think they hit a home run with this.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, that was the Alabama Update brought to you by Steverson Air Conditioning. Again, make sure you check them out if you're having any kind of issues. Let's talk about Paparazzi Gourmet Deli. We just had a sports nutritionist in here. She left. I can talk about Paparazzi now. Absolutely the best pizza you're going to find anywhere down here. The deli has great recipes. The bakery, as we said yesterday, Coach Hale's out of town. You got your chance to get up to the counter without, knocking an old man out of the way. But they are wonderful. Big John and the crew down there at Paparazzi, you need to go see them today. And then Jim Dickerson, look, obviously a lot of people are calling their agent after the storms that rolled through here, and not everybody has the best agent. You need Jim Dickerson. He is the absolute best when it comes to dealing with these things and getting you the money that you deserve with these deals. Jim Dickerson, State Farm Insurance. You need to give him a call today for all of your insurance needs. When we get back, we're going to go across to the Plains. We're going to talk to the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, and all the goings-on at Auburn, football, basketball, gymnastics, a little bit of everything. And that'll be right here next on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Pretty woman, the kind I like to meet, pretty woman. I don't believe
ESPN Northwest Florida. Afternoon Underdogs.
When it comes to leaders, you have different types of leaders. You have the guys who just lead by action. They're not really saying a whole lot. They're just going out there and doing it. And there's other guys who gravitate to that type of work ethic. And then you have your other guys who are vocal leaders. And they can get those inspiring speeches.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, some sun and a high of 42 with a blustery wind coming out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 26. Tomorrow, a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 46. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 59. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi, folks. It's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
the Senior Bowl. For 75 years, it's been the proving ground of football's greatest legends. The tradition continues Saturday, February 3rd as the Legends return to Mobile. Join us at the Hancock Whitney Stadium, where the first 5,000 entrants will receive limited edition bobbleheads of the 75th team legends. Dan Marino, DeMarcus Ware, Aaron Donald, Sean Alexander, and Cornelius Bennett. Get your tickets for the 75th Senior Bowl at seniorbowl.com. The draft starts in Mobile.
If aliens showed up tomorrow and said, take us to your leader, you bring them to the Coach James Hale Show.
Danger, Bill Robinson, danger.
Live from the J. Michael Studio on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Whoa, Eagle, hey! Auburn update brought to you here on the Coach James Hale Show.
Stand up and yell, hey!
Sing it, Glenn.
Hey.
Sing it in Spanish for Martha.
The dulcet tones of Glenn.
Auburn update brought to you by Beef O'Brady's Lynn Haven. Pat and the crew out there do an absolutely wonderful job with everything. And, of course, TV's everywhere. Great lunch specials. Get out to Beef O'Brady's Lynn Haven and thank them for sponsoring the Auburn update as it is. Brian Haddad sitting in for Coach James Hale all this week. And we are blessed here as we are every Tuesday to be joined by the voice of the Auburn Tigers himself, Andy Burcham. Andy, how are we doing on this Tuesday?
Well, Brian, good morning. We're doing well here. There was some fear of some ice coming in this morning, but it has hovered just above the freezing, at least here in Auburn. I know north of Auburn and west of Montgomery, they're dealing with some icy and snowy conditions in the state of Alabama. But here in Auburn, it is just wet, but it is safe, and that is good.
Excellent. I was actually going to ask you about that. Andy, I was in Auburn over the weekend actually working an event at the Martin Aquatic Center there on campus, and I got to tell you, I know football's still king at Auburn. It's still king in the South, but man, there were some great events going on campus at Auburn. Friday night, you had the gymnastics event, which was sold out and just had a raucous environment. Saturday, you got the basketball team, the men's team getting a big win over LSU. And then Sunday, the women's team sets an attendance record and beats the defending national champions. Kind of talk about the environment on campus over the weekend, all the different events going on, and we'll pivot off of that into the basketball.
Brian, you just look at the three events that occurred at Neville Arena on the weekend. And hats off, by the way, to the folks that work the arena, because after that gymnastics event on Friday, then they have to completely revamp and get ready for two huge basketball games, both the men and the women against LSU. It was a sellout for gymnastics on Friday, as you mentioned, a sellout for the men's basketball game on Saturday, and then over 7,700, a new attendance record at Neville Arena for women's basketball on Sunday. And Auburn beats LSU in both of those games. The women's game, of course, notably because, that's the defending national champs, and it's the first win of the SEC schedule for Auburn, and hopefully that spurs that team on now as it goes. And so after Auburn's basketball teams played LSU at home on Saturday, Sunday, now they get ready and go to Vanderbilt and play at Vanderbilt on Wednesday and Thursday.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, I'm told that the women are trying to get to the game Wednesday night to be able to cheer on the guys when they play Wednesday night at Vanderbilt. But just three really big-time events on campus, two sellouts and one near sellout, and success for the Tigers. So a fun weekend to be sure for Auburn.
I want to come back to the LSU game in just a minute, but you talked about going up to Vanderbilt and, Vanderbilt not having the season they would like to have, but it's a road contest in the SEC. But depending on which of my friends I talked to in Nashville, they either had 7 inches to a foot of snow dumped on them here. Any concerns with the weather up there on getting to the game for tomorrow?
No, we're leaving later this afternoon. At this point, I've heard of no concerns. I had a friend that was coming downtown tonight. We were going out to dinner, and then he was going to come to the game tomorrow. He can't get out of his driveway.
Yeah.
He lives north of Nashville, so he's not going anywhere. And when I talked to him yesterday, and he lives, again, just north of Nashville, and it was 5 to 6 inches of snow at that point, and the snow was still coming down. So, and it is supposed to be bitterly cold in Nashville as we get up there. As I understand it, though, guys, that weather is supposed to be moving through the Nashville area before we get on our plane and head north, which is good news. But it is going to be, regardless of the snow conditions, it is going to be as cold a conditions as we have experienced this season.
Yeah. Well, let's talk real quick because I know we want to pivot out into some football questions as we always do on the show. But let's talk a little bit. 93-78 win over LSU. Auburn, I believe, stays undefeated in conference here. Talk a little bit about the game and kind of the way Bruce has got the crew playing right now. Seem to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's a very deep team. And he's had numbers before, but I don't think he has had the quality depth that he does this season. It's 11 strong with this Auburn team right now, and there's not a drop-off when you go from that starting five to that next five that come in, and he can mix and match. You look at the end of that game on Saturday, and it was a combination of starters and guys coming off the bench that finished the game. He talked to the media yesterday, and with Vanderbilt, of course, on Wednesday, home against a really good Ole Miss team, and then you go on the road for back-to-back games at Alabama and Mississippi State. That's Auburn's next 4 games, and 3 of them are on the road in very tough atmospheres. And I know it's Vanderbilt Wednesday, but, at one point, Vandy had won like 14 or 15 straight games against Auburn until the last couple of years. And Vanderbilt beat Auburn by 2 last year in Nashville. So it is a very tough schedule for Auburn coming up. It gets tougher now for Auburn. It's a nice start for Auburn, a 10-game win streak going to Nashville. And Auburn and Alabama are the only 2 3-0 teams now left.
That's right.
In SEC play after this past Saturday. So the schedule gets very, very tough, but it is a deep, deep team that Bruce Pearl has put together for this season.
Outstanding, and what a job by Bruce Pearl because, with egos and everybody wanting to get their minutes in the days of NIL, it's such a wonderful thing for a coach who can actually balance all of that and get a group to believe in each other and play and enjoy their minutes like that. That's a real testament to his experience and his talent as a coach. So,
well, and there's no guarantee that will happen either.
Sure. So far, at least, yeah.
Yeah, you can have great talent on your team, but the team culture and how well that team plays together.
Yeah.
That part of that's on the coach, certainly. Part of that's on the team and the team makeup as well. And to this point, this team doesn't seem to have a worry about playing minutes or scoring averages. It is playing for each other, and it has certainly paid off for the squad.
All right, Andy, let's pivot over to football. Obviously, the big news over the last several days, Cadillac Williams and Zach Etheridge, 2, lifetime, Tigers, resigning the program. Obviously you never like to have people who've been a part of Auburn and such entrenched members of the family step away from the program. But is this one of the cases where, as much as you'd like to have them, it is always awkward when you've had people on staff before you and you're a new coach trying to come in? Could this maybe kind of help free up Hugh Freeze a little bit, cement? I think you know where I'm going. I don't know if I know exactly how to ask this question, but you don't like to lose them, but could it, maybe have kind of a silver lining for Hugh Freeze going forward?
Well, you don't have any choice moving forward, do you?
Yeah.
And let me say this about both Zach and Carnell. I mean, both were fabulous players for Auburn.
Right.
On highly successful teams at Auburn. And both came back to Auburn to coach at their alma maters and have been a pivotal part of this program, this campus, and this community. Just look at what Carnell did 2 seasons ago in the last 4 games of the 2022 season.
Oh, my
Folks,
goodness.
we'll never forget what he meant and that staff meant to Auburn to keep things together.
That's right.
Down the stretch of that season. And I wish Carnell and Zach all the best moving forward. But you do have to move forward at this point. And you're I think you are going into one of the most important off seasons and spring seasons in Auburn football in quite some time, because you're starting to get the talent in that you need. You have the 7th best recruiting class, and you're continuing to work that recruiting class now in the transfer portal, and that is paying dividends from all indications for Auburn. And a lot of those guys are going to be on campus and in spring ball. A lot of those huge names that Auburn signed back in December. And there's one still out there, and we all know about that. So what I'm saying is these next couple hires, one on offense and one on defense that we know of, maybe one or two more coming in, are very, very important for Hugh Freeze going into, I think, just an incredibly important offseason and spring practice. One of the most important that Auburn has had in quite some time.
I agree wholeheartely. Also, along those lines, Hugh Freeze has indicated that he's going to take back over the play calling. And obviously, at different schools and different situations, that has been a benefit for some and a detriment for others. I know we went through it with Gus Malzahn on several occasions at Auburn. What do you think about the note that Hugh's going to be taking back over the play calling? Is this a good thing going forward?
That is the least surprising thing that has happened since the end of the season.
Right.
And we all saw that coming. And it really isn't a surprise. And Hugh Freeze knew that was coming. And he has said many times that this one season was a season for recruiting, to get the recruiting jump-started again. And I think he feels that now that is certainly going in the right direction. And the pieces are in place to continue that. And it's time for him to take over the offense, time for him to be the play call. And listen, when his teams have been successful in the past, at Liberty, at Ole Miss, at Arkansas State, heck, even back to Lambeth, he's been the guy calling the plays. And I think Auburn needs that from Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze needs that for Auburn. So that to me, that was a natural for Hugh Freeze to move back into the play calling role.
Absolutely right. Well, Andy, thank you so much again for your time. As always on Tuesday, good luck. Be safe heading up to Nashville, and good luck in the game. And War Eagle, my friend.
War Eagle, guys, airtime tomorrow night at 7:30. It's a late night. I'll get a nap tomorrow. We play at 8 tomorrow night in Nashville. Good to be with you today, guys. War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right. Thanks, Andy. That's the voice of the Auburn Tigers himself, Andy Burcham, always bringing great insight and information for us right here on the Coach James Hale Show every Tuesday. Again, thanks to Beef O'Brady's Lynn Haven for sponsoring the Auburn Update, as they do every single day here. Get out and see those guys. Great lunch specials. I know tomorrow they got their 10 wings, a side and a drink for $10. I mean, you can't beat that anywhere. And you got sports on all the way around, and most importantly, the staff out there, some of the absolute friendliest people who really enjoy their job.
And they've been there quite a while.
That's right. Yeah. So it's an absolutely wonderful environment out there. Real quick here before we go to break, I know we did the nutrition talk with Emily here, but Jason, talk to us a little bit about Max Fit Sports Nutrition, what all is going on down at the shops.
Yeah, so beyond the meal plans, we do have, very quality supplements. We have a sample bar where you can try before you buy. We do have the InBody 570. You don't have to sign up for a meal plan to go in there and check your results. So we have a lot of people that just buy supplements that come in once every 2-3 weeks to get on the InBody and see their results. So we got two great locations now. We got the one on 23rd Street in the Del Coronado Village, and we have the one in Pier Park North next to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Absolutely outstanding. Well, when we come back, we're going to get into FSU update. We're going to see if in the hour and a half we've been on the air, 15 more Alabama players have transferred to Florida State. And that's all coming up next here. You're listening to the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Set your alarm clock to wake up with the Coach Hale Show on ESPN Northwest Florida. In-depth local and college sports from expert insiders and a dash of controversy.
Can be deadly.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9.
Nothing says good morning like a drunken human alarm clock.
You're live from the J. Michaels studio.
We all know he loves the Florida Gators, but that's okay.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I can control the world.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Kitchen Designs in Panama City Beach and Santa Rosa Beach want to help you make your dream kitchen a reality in 2024. Family owned and operated for over 20 years, they offer cabinets, countertops, flooring, and tile. Their cash and carry program offers shaker white cabinets available the very next day. Call Kitchen Designs to make your dream come true. 850-775-4150.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Me and my I Do crew have 50 years experience, and we have more certified diamonds in stock at the best prices in town. So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, come see me, your diamond girl, and my I Do crew at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, because we don't work on commissions. We work for smiles and I Do's.
And here we go. The #1 SEC call-in show is now twice as big. The Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekday evening 6 to 10. Now back to the Coach James Hale Show on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Wait for it. Little Stone Temple Pilots?
Yeah. Back to my
John's coming into our range here. Yeah, I like this. Good stuff here. Well, that's our new FSU fight song. We'll get it on the way out here. Again, no, that's all right, John. We're doing it later than normal because we had our wonderful guest in earlier. But FSU update, we should have just done the Florida State woo in the middle of that song.
But no, you can't take away from the song.
That's right. So this 15-minute segment will be listing all of the names of the Alabama players transferring to Florida State. Now, obviously, big news, first big news of the week, Mike Norvell, who several people were looking at maybe being involved in the Alabama coaches search, is going to be staying at Florida State. He's got many million reasons why. Got a, I think, absolutely well-deserved contract extension and raise, which is outstanding. It's great for, solidifying things in recruits' minds and everything like that. So, but yes, Florida State has been busy in the transfer portal. Linebacker Sean Murphy is just the latest Alabama player to transfer to Florida State. He now joins Malik Benson, Terrence Ferguson, Earl Little II, and Roydell Williams, who is going to add to an already solid running back room. Roydell's a good player with a lot of big SEC experience. That's 5 players from a playoff-bound team now heading to Florida State. I mean, that's good news if you're FSU and Mike Norvell, because you are losing a lot through graduation, through whatever, but people moving on to the draft. This is going to be a great sign if you're a Seminole fan.
It is. Plus, we drug a lineman out of the University of Florida. So, so things going on, and I hate this word, but revenge. They said it was going to be the revenge tour. So, I mean, when you start worrying about revenge, then you're not thinking about what you're supposed to be doing
on a daily basis.
That's right. Yeah, so that kind of brings you down. But I think he's done a good job. I think they go after people that they went after before they went to another school also. And so they are familiar with them. It didn't take the linebacker long. He visited one day and he said, okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
So I just think they have the right thing, and they tell them the truth. This is how we can use you. This is what we can do. And, in the Trails In or whatever that's called, that they're doing now, and they got away from Up the Spear, which has created some problems. But I think people are, donating in. I usually didn't donate much, but since I took my money away from Middle Tennessee, I can take it and put it in.
Now you get to the NIL collectors.
So, but anyway, it's going to be a good year. The expectations he's going to feel it's going to really be high now. Yeah. 13-0 or 13-1.
I agree.
So
well, they got a quarterback, so that was the main thing.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we're going to find out how much Glenn donated if we got pictures of Glenn and DJ on the front porch, coming up here. But
the thing too is, I think everything on the quarterback situation was triggered on Cam Ward,
right?
That's right.
Who pulled I think he got news that you may not go as high.
Exactly.
I
think that's
then Miami says,
true.
hey, we'll give you this, so why get drafted when you can get this?
If you're a third or fourth round pick, you're probably going to make more in NIL money, say, in 1 year in
That's
college
right.
than you are in an NFL contract.
We've talked about it for weeks that there's probably 10 college quarterbacks making more right now than Brock Purdy, who has an outside shot at the MVP.
Right. That's true.
I mean,
and they might be older than him too.
That's true too.
But the other thing too is we had the kicker and the punter are both coming back. And so that's a good solidification. And it's supposedly, now I don't know how you do this, being a former kicker and all that, the number one kicker in the nation. I guess you go through those camps and you get rated. But but when I was
playing, what are you talking
playing,
about? Max Preps can rate all the high school teams in the country.
We didn't have all those camps when I was going through. You just went out there and did it. So the thing too is that helps a lot to have those guys coming back.
No doubt.
And then the other thing I worry about is the long snapper coming back, or they have to have a new one. When I can just take from when I was coaching at Bay High School, we had a lot of good ones. Coach Nagy, who is at Mosley, he was great, and Jared Moon, fantastic. And then Coach's son Jody, we never had those issues because those guys worked hard at it. And so
you never know how important the snap is until you play Michigan in the Rose Bowl.
Let's take a minute because we haven't all been together since this news came out, and I don't think you talked about it all that much. But I'm curious y'all's thoughts on DJ. I mean, we laughingly call him ukulele. We have for years, but Uiagalelei, obviously, God bless me. Played at Clemson too. He didn't live up to the hype he came out of high school with, obviously, which was going to be difficult.
He wasn't Trevor Lawrence, is what.
Correct. Right. Goes to Oregon State. I think gets better. I think had a great relationship with his coach there. Now coming back to the ACC, a team he is going to be familiar with in Florida State. I'm curious y'all thoughts on that in general, and does he fit kind of what Mike Norvell does?
I think he does because when he went to Clemson, I don't think he had a surrounding cast like he had at Oregon State. I think they had some good receivers, but the one that hurt his neck,
Justin Ross,
so that kind of got it. Now, I don't think the offensive line was as good as he got in Oregon State because they were pass oriented, and I think with him being the size he is, that's going to help Norvell's their play calling because now he is a threat to run. When Travis was there, please don't run sometimes, as we found out.
Sure.
And I think he's going to do okay. And they're bringing in a great quarterback who's played receiver, quarterback, and safety in high school. And then you got Brock Glenn there. So you got some people in the room that can learn from him. And also, they can get another year's experience in there.
It does not hurt, and people are overlooking this, it does not hurt that Brock Glenn got meaningful snaps this year if he is called upon going forward. So that'll be good. Jim, what do you think about the move?
Yeah, it was funny because in my mind, I had forgotten, they got all these great transfers. Who's their quarterback going to be? I said, ukulele. That's right. I think he's going to do a good job. He's certainly got a lot of experience. Played a lot of big games against good competition. He won't be overmatched mentally at all. I don't think. So the fact that he can run around a little bit is certainly a benefit. I think Florida State's going to have another really good year. I really do. It'll be a little bit different. You have to learn who the players are, because some of them are gone. But they'll still be really good.
I just wasn't a big fan of the offense Clemson tried to build around them. And plus, with the receivers they had, they were very pedestrian at the time. I mean, they had a decent run game, but as we saw with Bo Nix, he wasn't very good at Auburn at times, but he transferred and learned. And I see that kind of development with DJ now. Went to Oregon State, got them in the top 25. I think they're all the way up into 14. Had some big wins this year. So he's going to have a ton of experience. My only concern, and it's a slight one with Florida State, is how do you replace Keon Coleman? How do you replace Wilson? Because you do want to surround this guy with weapons. So I'm sure they got a lot of talent there, but they're going to be young. And to me, that's what I'm going to be looking to see if they can develop that. Because let's be honest, the ACC is not the Big Ten, and that's no slap at or SEC.
That's true.
And that's no slap at the ACC, but you just got to beat Clemson and maybe a good Miami team, and you're going to be right there for the college football playoff again, notwithstanding the people that run it.
You're 100% right. Having the guy who stretch the field, because arm strength has never been questioned with DJ.
Absolutely.
He's got a cannon of an arm. Decision making has been at times, but you're right. I don't think Clemson did a real good job developing him. Now, my worry a little bit, if I have one for Florida State, it's not even that, because I think they're going to run the ball incredibly well this coming year. I'm a little bit worried on the defensive side of the ball. I know they've gotten some transfers in, but you're replacing big, reliable players on the defensive side of the ball. And look, the key to going undefeated for FSU this year was when things were maybe not 100% on the offensive end of things, or when Jordan goes down and you have the conference championship game, what did they do? They leaned on that defense every time. That was a special group, and that's going to be hard to replace. So I'm a little more curious to see the first couple of weeks, what does this defense look like going forward? Because if they're able to bring in players to get it even close to back where it was, they could have another special season ahead of them.
Yeah, you bring it. Lundy came back,
right,
and so you got that position. But then you got the Marvin Jones Jr. coming in, so solidify some of that, and you got some of the defensive linemen that played a lot.
Right. Durst was so good, though.
Yeah.
He was so good.
Oh, yeah.
He was dominant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the guy I just don't know if he's replaceable right now.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But as a collective, I think the secondary can be better. I think the linebackers definitely could be better.
Yeah.
There was a gap to me in the center of that Florida State defense. If you ran interior, Boston College did, I think that's where they need to improve. But they got a lot of talent. They've been hitting the portal. I think the next step for Florida State and Norvell is to be stacking these high school classes like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, because they hit the portal. They build these teams. But how good are these teams from year to year when you have different leaders in the locker room? You haven't been in that environment for 3-4 years. That's the next step for me for Florida State to make it to that elite 4 or 5 level.
Well, they did sign the 22 kids that they went out for. That they went out for those positions.
Well, no, they definitely are improving.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin talked about that. When he played Georgia, he was like, my guys go down, I'm replacing my 5 with a 3. They're replacing their 5 with a 4, almost 5, and that's the difference.
And my point was more that when we saw Georgia's backups in third string versus Florida State's backups in third string, that was a mismatch. And that's where you start to stack high school classes versus the portal.
And it matters at the end of the year.
Because the portal guys opted out. You know what I'm saying? Those guys weren't part of the program for years.
Even through injuries and attrition, it always matters at the end of the year, your depth.
For sure.
The end of the years when championships are decided. So, good deal. Well, that is the FSU update brought to us by Newbies, all the Newbies properties, the Mothership, the Booze and Brew, Newbies 2 on the curb there. Of course, it was kind of in the line of fire there with a tornado, but I know they had a little bit of damage, but I know they're working real hard to get everything back going and everything down there. Make sure that you support John and Charlotte, not just for the great people they are and all they do for the community, which is true, but because you're going to have an absolutely wonderful time no matter which of the Newbies properties you go to.
Absolutely.
Just make sure to step over Glenn. Don't step on him. It's
look,
just
Fred Strickland, he'll be there too.
Oh, step on him though. Especially if you're an Auburn fan, he'll deserve it.
And again, thanks to all the sponsors who make this show possible every single day. When we get back, we're going to take a look ahead to this weekend's NFL playoff divisional round, and we're going to give our picks. So Vegas, be listening.
Florida State, Florida State, Florida State.
Woo!
Suffer from political talk radio fatigue?
We know that under the 49% rate,
And tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, some sun and a high of 42 with a blustery wind coming out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 26. Tomorrow, a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 46. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 59. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Come on down and get in on all the Senior Bowl excitement Saturday, February 3rd. From tailgating to game day and epic Mardi Gras parades. Enjoy an action-packed Saturday leading up to a free live concert by Counting Crows at Mardi Gras Park, downtown Mobile at 8 p.m. Get your tickets for the 75th Senior Bowl today at seniorbowl.com. The draft starts in Mobile.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
The Coach James Hale Show is live and local from the J. Michael Studio.
They got something that money couldn't buy.
I was noticing when you come down the stairs that you've got pretty legs.
All right, I'll tell you a story without a happy ending. Y'all following this?
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And back at you here on the Coach James Hale Show Tuesday morning. Kind of a dreary Tuesday morning, but not in here. We're having a ball. It's been a great show. Thanks to Smitty spinning the tunes back there for us.
Jason, special guest.
Yeah, Emily was fantastic here. Sorry, Glenn, but
No,
it's a little easier on the eyes than
that any day.
Just saying.
Little rain must fall.
That's right. That's right. But no, we've had a wonderful, wonderful time. Don't forget, if you want to reach out to Max Fit and Emily about setting up meal plans and things like that for you, Jason, what do they need to do?
Just call 850-257-5780. We can set up your appointment. Basically, she can meet you down at Max Fit. You'll get on your in-body, do your initial reading. She'll calculate your numbers, your goals, and then we'll provide your meal plan. And if you can follow it, you'll get your results.
Outstanding. All right, well, let's look ahead to the NFL playoffs. We talked a lot about them earlier this morning. Let's look ahead to the divisional games that are coming up here. On Saturday, we're going to get the two top seeds who got byes. They're going to be hosting. And let's start within the AFC. Baltimore Ravens, best record in football this year, are going to be hosting a team I don't know that I want to see right now. No. A team that's just playing with house money and a lot of confidence, the Houston Texans. What do we think here? Lamar sat for 2 weeks. Is momentum gone a little for the Ravens? It's a good football team, though.
Yeah. I think they're just a really good football team. Playing at home makes a difference. Houston playing at home made a difference. I love CJ. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback. He's going to be Rookie of the Year, probably top 5 for MVP this year, which is phenomenal for somebody just coming in the league. But that Baltimore team's too good. Defense is too good. Lamar's playing a lot better this year. I don't think defenses can scheme to him as they had in the past, because I think he's developed his pocket passing a little bit better. So I see Baltimore, but I do think this is going to be a close game. I don't think they're just going to walk right through him. CJ's just playing so good right now, anticipates so many good throws, and we'll see. I'm excited for CJ. I'm an Ohio State fan, so I root for him, but I think Baltimore's going to be a little too much at home.
Glenn, who do you like in this one?
Well, it's hard to say because Jason went through everything I was thinking. But I just think the home thing is it's going to be a little bit too much for Houston. It's going to be close. I agree with you. I think it's going to be really close.
Jim?
Oh, I would love to see the Baltimore Ravens or the Ratbirds. for those
the Baltimore Browns.
For those who aren't aware, those were the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
Right.
I was at the last game in 1995, so I have nothing for Baltimore. Nothing, ever. Ever.
They're Cleveland's Michigan to what Ohio State is.
Yeah, probably worse.
It used to be Cleveland, Cincinnati before Cleveland pulled their Modell pulled the move.
And add insult to injury, Modell moves him out of town, and Ozzie Newsome is their general manager, who's a longtime Brown, a Hall of Fame Brown. Anyway.
And they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they've been very good and have walked the dog on the Browns repeatedly.
That's right.
But I'd love to see Houston win, especially with C.J. Stroud, but like they said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Baltimore's pretty salty at home.
I'm going to take Baltimore as well. I've just got an eerie feeling this might be the year of the Harbaughs.
But think about what they were talking about C.J. Stroud coming into the year. No supporting cast. Offensive line was terrible. No chance they win 7 games, and look where they're at.
That's right.
So
phenomenal job. Phenomenal job by D'Amico Ryan. That's first time as a head coach.
I was surprised Alabama didn't make more of a run at him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's more a pro guy.
I think so, too.
But, yeah, I agree with you. All right, so the evening contest on Saturday, if the Ravens aren't the best team in football, the 49ers may be. Weapons everywhere. They're hosting a pretty darn good Green Bay Packers team who, look, it was part how bad Dallas played, but don't take anything away from the Packers.
No.
Green Bay goes to Ryan Mulvey's 49ers.
The Fighting Mulveys.
Yeah.
What do we like here?
I like the 49ers. I just don't think Love's going to have all day to throw. I don't think that secondary and linebackers are going to just be unphysical like we saw in that game. The 49ers are the most physical defense and best defense in the league for my money.
There's a whole lot of Ohio State up front.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You got Chase Young and Nick Bosa on the ends. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Their interior defensive lines are phenomenal. Their offense, Purdy might be a game manager, but they have so many weapons, that's all he needs to be. As long as he doesn't make mistakes or playing at home, I see this as a solid win for 49ers.
Glenn?
Well, it's hard to bet against the 49ers. I think this may be a little upset. I think they may come in there, and they're riding high in their house money. I think it's going to be close. I just think they may pull it off.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm with Jason. I think the 49ers are pretty legit. The Browns beat them, but that was a fluke. They've had a couple games like that where they haven't played very well. But if they're all rested up and ready to go and at home, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And I think you just said it. That's the key. When they have struggled this year, one of those pieces has been out. McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, whatever. When they're all healthy, they've looked pretty unbeatable. So I'm going to take the Niners as well.
The Fighting Mulveys.
That's right.
I noticed you said that right, too.
On Sunday, boy, wasn't that long ago, you'd have never thought this would have been a playoff game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. 2 fun teams to watch. Man, this could be something. What do we think here?
Well, I think it's Mayfield's end's going to run. He deserves all the credit this year. Yeah. I mean, he's been phenomenal for Tampa Bay for what they've been through and having to have an emergency guy come in and play for them. But, he led them to a playoff win. But this is where the road ends.
Yeah. Glenn?
I'm going to go with the Lions because my brother-in-law is a big Lions fan. He's from Detroit. And I just think they may have it going. I mean, I know I like Mayfield too. He did a great job last night. It was fantastic. But I just think it may be their year. I don't know.
Yep.
The mojo's got to even out eventually here, and I think the Lions deserve something good to happen. They're pretty good too. They've done a great job. Think where they were when Campbell took over and he talked all that tough talk and everybody kind of laughed at him.
Right.
They ain't laughing now.
No.
I think if Detroit was going to stumble, it would have been the first playoff game. I agree. But Baker's got the swagger to go on the road and get a thing. But I think the Lions winning a close game was huge. I think that's going to be good for them. I think they win another very close game here and move on.
That'll be a good game.
And then the final game of the weekend could prove to be the best. The irony in this is Kansas City's going to Buffalo. Buffalo has been extremely good at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
So, you love being at home, but boy, Pat Mahomes is still on the Chiefs. So what do we think here? This is a battle of heavyweights, Chiefs at Bills.
I've heard all year how the Chiefs are never going to win the Super Bowl. They drop too many passes, this, that, the third. And I tell everybody, once you get to the playoffs, it's a whole completely different ball game. This is a team that's experienced. They've won Super Bowls. They got talent at every level on offense. Their defense is actually really good and carried them through some games this year. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I still don't completely trust Josh Allen. I think he's one of the best athletes that plays quarterback, and at times he might be the best quarterback in the league, but he's so inconsistent at times and makes some big mistakes. I'm going to go with the experience in Mahomes, but this is a game I don't have a whole lot of confidence. I think you can flip a coin on this one.
Okay. Glenn?
KC, though.
Well, the weather can't be a factor because they've both played in sub-zero weather.
Right.
I'm like my buddy over here, he's killing me with all this knowledge, but I just think the Chiefs, I think you rely on the experience of being in those situations. I think they're going to pull it out. Anytime you got Mahomes running around back there, I just think.
Kelsey's got to catch the dang ball, though.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. You had 4 drops last time. 2 of them were maybe for a touchdown. I mean, if he catches the ball, I don't know what's going on with him.
Yep.
Well, we do, but.
Well, this is a rematch of that all-time classic game from, 2 seasons ago when it was just a shootout, whoever got the ball last.
Yeah.
Hey, I got 5 seconds left. I can drive 95 yards with no timeouts and score.
Right.
No Tyreek Hill this time, though.
But, so I'm like them. As long as you got Patrick Mahomes on your team, you got a chance.
All right.
And, of course, Josh Allen's very good, too, but I think the Chiefs are going to get it done.
I hate taking 4 home teams, but I'm going to. I'm going to buck the trend. I think this is the Bills' time. I think they're going to get through here, and then that Bills-Ravens matchup is going to be very, very interesting.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, wanted to get this in. Station sponsor, PCB Hobby. They have a charity auction going on this Saturday on the Whatnot app. They're doing a coin stream. They've had donations from all over, and 100% of the proceeds are going to benefit victims of tornado down in Lower Lagoon and all that. They're working with the sheriff's office to do that. You can make donations at PCB Hobby all through the week, or jump on the coin stream and get yourself some really neat stuff at auction. But a great thing, they're hoping to raise $15,000 to help people down there. Ryan's got the Inside Drive at 11. Dave's coming back at you this afternoon again. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Smitty. We'll be back tomorrow.
Take ESPN Northwest Florida with you everywhere you go.
Anytime, anyplace, anywhere.
The sports talk and live play-by-play doesn't have to end when you get out of the car. The ESPN Northwest Florida app streams your favorite sports talk hosts and the biggest games in ultra-high fidelity.
This is of utmost importance in travel.
Take the sports talk monster with you anywhere you go. Available for Android and iPhone.
Use it anywhere or any place.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, some sun and a high of 42 with a blustery wind coming out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 26. Tomorrow, a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 46. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 59. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GEAR for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GEAR for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GEAR.
WGSX Lynn Haven.